Hello, welcome everyone to our board meeting on tonight. We will call our meeting to order, and we have a long agenda tonight, so we're going to stay focused and stay on our agenda. However, I do want to just pause for just a moment of silence for our neighboring state and those victims in that horrible flood, and last count was over 100 people's lives have been lost. So if you just join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. At this time, we will have our interim superintendent, Mr. Black, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Yes, ma'am. Will you rise? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Black for our Wampus Cat Pride.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Ms. Caitlin.
Gotcha.
Either way, thank you so much. Good evening, board. Good evening, Wampus Cats. Tonight for our Wampus Cat Pride recognition, as a tradition, we like to take a time to honor the service of our outgoing school board president. And so tonight we'd like to recognize Dr. David Naylor Jr. for his leadership, dedication during his time as president of the Conway School Board this past year. And so Dr. Naylor, we're truly grateful for the time and dedication that you had for in this role of president. And so we just thank you for your continued support for Conway Public Schools. Give it up for Dr. Naylor. Okay, and for our next highlight, we have a video series, Video for a Novice Teacher. And so I just want to share a short clip of this fourth video of our video series that we began last spring. This series has just been a great way to just showcase and spotlight just the incredible things that are happening across our district. It showcases our students, our staff, some of our leaders, and so I just want to showcase our novice teachers, which is our beginning teachers last year, in the program. And so you're going to hear directly, like I said, from some students, some staff, and I'm only going to show you a snippet of it for this meeting. And then it is linked on the agenda, and it's also posted on our YouTube channel, and then will be posted out on social media as well.
Nothing truly prepares you when you have to walk into your classroom and you got 25 that belong to you.
Novice teachers need a lot of validation and affirmation, and they need to realize the difference that they're making. They don't have the background knowledge and the experience to lean back on to know that they're doing the right things. And what I believe Conway's doing that's so powerful is they're making sure that not one teacher falls through the cracks.
The staff in my building, they're all so welcoming and warm and just asking me how I'm doing. It helps all of us be better teachers because we can rely on each other.
It's a really great place to teach for our novice teachers, I think, as well as everybody.
It's great here, number one, because of the people. We hire great people, and we empower those people to do the things that we need. They just have the love and the passion.
Miss Perkins is the nicest person to me, and I think she makes my heart really warm. And when I'm reading and when I struggle, she helps me. But she doesn't make me feel special. She makes me feel the greatest person on the world.
I think that's a great spot to end on. If you've missed our previous videos, they're also posted on our YouTube channels as well. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Riles. Good stuff.
At this time, we will have our patron comments. We will start with Mr. Tyler Moses.
Hello, Board. I'm here tonight to discuss process, transparency, and Arkansas law. A week ago, this board approved a buyout of nearly $500,000 for the outgoing superintendent. Over $91,000 of that went toward reimbursing retirement contributions that, according to Arkansas law, are the employee's responsibility. That reimbursement was not included in the contract, but it was still paid quietly without public explanation. When decisions like this are made in private, they create controversy and erode public trust. Executive sessions are meant for specific legal purposes, like discussing personnel evaluations or hiring, not for negotiating financial terms or spending public money. Arkansas law states that contracts and budget decisions must be made publicly. We can't keep using executive sessions to hide public business and call it legal. Earlier today, the interim superintendent noted that the district is facing new challenges. However, we've been told for years that decisions were made clearly and confidently. Those two statements don't match. It's time to stop the contradictions and after-the-fact explanations. The public deserves consistent standards and open communication before decisions are made, not afterward. Before tonight's meeting, we gathered feedback from over 150 community members, teachers, parents, former admins, and citizens from across Conway. We asked about two main issues: the proposed 2-year contracts for central office administrators and the promotion of a deputy superintendent role that wasn't advertised or open for applications. Over 95% of respondents, people who care deeply about our students, said these choices would further damage leadership trust in our district. If these decisions are approved tonight, they'll be made in executive session, leaving no room for public discussion. Yet they involve budget implications, cultural impact, and long-term effects on this district. We can't keep treating transparency as optional. We just watched this board spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to end a contract that wasn't working. Why would we go down that same path again? This isn't just about one person. It's about the kind of district that we want to be. If it's a contract, it should be public. If it affects our budget, it should be public. If it uses taxpayer funds, it should be public. We had the chance to correct our course. We can lead with clarity, accountability, and renewed respect for the public. That change needs to start tonight. Please choose transparency.
Thank you. Our next patron will be Alice Hardy.
Madam President and the school board members, thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I stand here for people that don't feel comfortable speaking to you. So as an educator in this district for 25 plus years, students are always first in my heart, always. But I am an advocate for teachers because I have been a teacher and I've been in that classroom and I know how that feels. Teachers feel like they need to have a safe working environment, and if they don't have that, that's going to filter down to our most precious possessions, and that's our learners. These students only get one shot at an education, and that's from us. It takes a village to educate these students, but if we don't have trust in the community and we don't have teachers that feel safe, it's going to hamper these kids from learning. So I ask, why do we need a deputy superintendent? This is not personal, this is business. You know, I went through 5 superintendents, and we never had a deputy superintendent until our last one. And we can see from experience what happened in that situation. We had a school district that prospered, that built buildings, the academic scores were up, and we didn't have that position. So I'm asking you to save that money and use it in other things. The district continues down the path of who we know versus what's best for our students. We made the decision to part ways with our former superintendent because we said we're ready to go in a new direction, a more child-centered direction. And yet here we go again, continuing the same patterns, inconsistent hiring practices, no formal hiring policy, and decisions being made behind closed doors. I urge the board to table any hire tonight for which the position has not been publicly posted. Applications have not been accepted and no interviews have been conducted. Anything less violates the transparency, fairness, and integrity of this community expects and deserves. We're in a healing process, and we elected you to be good stewards of our taxpayer money. We hold the most precious assets, our children, and they get one shot at this. They are our future, and it's up to us to not let them down. It takes a village. I want to say that I totally appreciate Mr. Black for meeting with us today. We gave him concerns. He spent his time with us, and so I'm not going to go over all those concerns because he knows what they are. But we have to show the community that we are pulling back together. We have to show the teachers that we believe them and we're listening to them. And spending money for things that aren't necessary, not now, is not showing that. You're hiring a consultant. Let the consultant do his job and let him come in here and let us know what we really need. Thank you.
Thank you. At this time, we have, the next on the agenda is approval of consent agenda. I need a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Madam President, I
Yeah.
actually have some questions about
Okay.
the policies.
Yeah,
If that's appropriate at this time.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Sorry.
Ms. Wagner, our attorney, will be the appropriate person to answer the questions about the policy.
I'm gonna be honest, can you all hear me? Okay. I actually have 24 questions, so it was 202 pages, so.
That's what the time's for.
I read
That's
all
what this
of them.
time's for, okay?
All right, so. How are the policy numbers determined, such as 3.58, which covers teachers' removal of student from classrooms? So how are those numbers come up with? Are they categorical or?
So the numbers are actually, so ASBA has a model policy book that they put out. And so that policy was actually a different number by their model book than what, it wasn't in ours. And so that's why it is 3.58, because that was the next available number.
Okay, it was just about any number in general. How is it formulated? I thought 3 may go along with this, 4 may go along with this category.
Okay, so each policy falls into either, so like 3.58 is licensed personnel policies, that's section 3. Section 4 is students. Section 5 is curriculum. Section 1 is board governance. 2 is administration. Talked about 3, talked about 4, talked about 5. 6 is community relations. 7 is business and management, maybe. I'm off the top of my head.
Oh, no problem.
And then 8 is classified personnel policies.
Okay.
So that's how they're delineated.
All right. Policy 1.11 says that the initial 9 hours of training a board member receives shall include, number 1, training on how to read and interpret an audit report, and 2, information regarding school safety and student discipline. When will those trainings be provided?
I can address that. I did speak with Mr. Lucas at the Arkansas School Board Association today. He said that they will provide that and they will notify the district when those classes are available.
Okay, thank you. All right, under the proposed revised policy 1.14, it states, and I quote, "Members of the board, other than the board president who desires to have an item placed on the monthly agenda, may do so by contacting the superintendent or in writing the board president at least 5 days prior to the meeting, and the item will be, quote, unquote, duly considered for inclusion." What does duly considered for inclusion mean?
So that would mean that whatever item you were proposing, it either could have already been on the agenda, and perhaps that's not been given to you at that point in time, but it would be considered by the superintendent, because the superintendent makes the agenda in consultation with the board president, so that's your 2 considerations for adding things to the agenda.
Okay. I don't know if anybody want to jump in or not.
Dr. Petty, I'll give you some insight onto that as well. The week prior to a board meeting, I get together with Ms. Franklin, and we discuss what's going to be on the agenda. We talk through different topics, and then if there's any concerns or questions that need to be followed up on, I'll call the rest of the board members, discuss what those concerns would be. So if you ever do have any agenda items that you would like to see on the board, of course, visiting with me and sending that email as well to Ms. Franklin would be ideal.
All right, under the proposed revised policy 1.14 under agenda circulation, it states, and I quote, "The superintendent shall be responsible for board members receiving copies of the agenda with all accompanying pertinent information at least 3 working days prior to the meeting." Can you define working days?
So those would be days that school is in session,
Okay.
or we're here on contract. I'll say that too. Contract days because I'm here all the time, so I just assume everybody's also here all the time. So it's contract days. So if the district is open, that would be the days.
Okay.
And then real quick, Dr. Petty, help me with this, Ms. Donna. Our goal is to get that to the school board on Fridays, Friday, Monday, Tuesday being the board meeting. Correct? Okay. Yes, sir.
Under the proposed revised policy 1.21 annual school election, it includes the Tuesday after the first Monday in March in odd number years. I thought under the new law, elections were only in March of even years. And that is 1.21.
I'd have to go back and look. It's been so long since I updated this. I did what came from ASBA as the model policy, so I'll go back and check to make sure that is accurate. I believe it is, though, based on, but I'll go back and check. And
Odd years are accurate? I thought they had to be in even years now.
Well, I know that we have to have a, millage happens in odd years, and so, we have an election, it says policy was updated to account for the ability to hold a millage election in odd years when the millage is not being changed by a delegate only from Act 399. So I believe that's what the policy was updated for.
Chest, as we look at that, I know he has a few more questions. Is this on? Oh, there we go. As he has a few more questions, we can get Scott Beardsley. He helps us out tremendously with those dates. We can reach out to him and get that answered.
I'm not sure if anyone else have questions. I don't want to just.
Yeah.
I got one when you're done, Dr. Petty. No, I got one when you're done. You keep going.
Under the 3.36 licensed personnel responsibilities governing bully, it states, and I quote, "Teachers and other school employees who have witnessed or reliably informed that a student has been a victim of bullying." Can you define reliable informed?
So that language is pulled directly out of the statute, and it was not defined in statute. So we will define that in procedure, but reliably informed would be that someone has told you, a child has told you, "I'm being bullied," or you see evidence of them being bullied. The other person to speak to that would be Mr. Eccles if you need further information on what that's going to look like.
All right. Under the same policy, can you explain the end of this policy where it's being revised? And speaking of preventing multiple simultaneous investigations, this is also in policy 4.43 bullying.
Yes, so that was that was also legislative change, which is why it's in red. And there, I believe, and this is me talking to what the legislatures wanted, I believe the point behind that was if you had multiple incidences occurring, like you had multiple kids who had been involved, you're doing one investigation and not trying to run 4 or 5 investigations simultaneously, I believe is the point of that.
All right, so does that also involve the school district having an investigation versus law enforcement as well?
So when law enforcement gets involved, a lot of times we are going to take a back seat because they take precedence generally in those types of situations. Same thing with DHS. If we can run an investigation concurrently, we will attempt to, but we also do not want to step on any toes for law enforcement or DHS in any type of situation.
All right. Under the policy 3.58, teachers removal of a student from classroom, will there be a certified teacher in the, quote, appropriate interim learning environment, unquote, and in the, quote, appropriate learning environment, unquote?
So that will be something that we have to look at for staffing, depending on what the situation is. If the child does have to be removed, and that's all going to be on a case-by-case situational basis.
Okay. And under that same policy, who would be responsible for assuring that that policy is being done with fidelity in all buildings of the district?
It will fall to the administrator.
Or principals?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Under the addition of policy 3.69, anti-Semitism prohibited, who is the district's Title VI coordinator?
So the Title VI coordinator will be our student support services individual, unless
Yeah,
Mr.
and
Black
that's,
has somebody else.
no, you're right. Mr. Preston Eccles at this time.
Yes.
Okay. Under the addition of policy 3.70, licensed personnel parental leave, does a parent have to use his or her sick leave before receiving paid leave under the licensed personnel family leave?
So this new law applies specifically to, this is maternity, and no, they do not have to use their sick leave. No.
Okay.
That's my understanding. Unless DESE gives us some other type of guidance, then that's my understanding that no, they do not.
Okay. Why is policy 4.10, school attendance areas and in-district transfers, being completely removed?
So the reason why is because that policy now is encompassed in 4.5, which is school choice. School choice has been amended, the law was, and it will take effect August 5th, so therefore that cycle will begin January 1. And you can transfer, as a parent, you can choose either an in-district transfer, meaning I want to go from Carolyn Lewis to Julia Lee Moore. You can do that on a school choice form, or you can choose to transfer out of district. I want to leave Conway and I want to go to Mayflower, or vice versa. I want to come from Mayflower to Conway. So since those are all encompassed together, it made sense to not have that additional policy and just have it all in school choice.
Okay. Under policy 4.2, entrant requirements, who is the district's military education coordinator?
I'm looking at you, Dr. Bryce Bennett, but I believe it is also Mr. Preston Eccles,
Student
the
service.
man of the night. All
Okay.
right, Mr. Eccles.
All right. Under policy 4.11, educational opportunity, who is the Title IX coordinator? I think we already know what the Title VI coordinator is, and the 504 coordinator.
So currently, I am the Title IX coordinator, and then the 504 coordinator is Ms. Gordon, Ms. Kelly Gordon.
Under policy 4.45, has SMART core curriculum or just the name itself been eliminated?
So the name itself has been eliminated, but the actual curriculum pieces, we're not calling it SMART Core anymore. That's what the state has decided we're not doing. So.
All right. Under the policy 4.45, proposed title change to graduation requirements, quote unquote, who sits on the early graduation committee?
So that committee is composed of Dr. Worley and then a team that she appoints at the point in time that that committee becomes necessary. Thus far, it has not been necessary at this point, but we do foresee it being necessary, hopefully in the very near future.
All right. Under policy 4.56, extracurricular activities, secondary schools, if a student transfer into the district after June 1st and is between 7th and 10th grade, that student cannot participate in an extracurricular activity that is a varsity athletic activity for up to 365 days. Is that right? And can you explain?
I believe that is correct. Coach Hughes can probably answer that. Is that correct, Coach Hughes? I'm looking at Coach Hughes.
Yeah.
I heard June 1st. If he transfers in after June 1st.
After June 1st and being between the 7th and 10th grade and want to participate in a varsity athletic activity, they can't do it immediately. You have to wait.
They're 65.
Yeah.
The only way they're eligible then is bona fide move. If a bona fide move happens, then they can be eligible if they do it after June 1st.
Okay.
Bona fide move, you leave a house, sell a house, buy a house.
So you physically move.
And I guess I was trying to prevent school districts from recruiting great athletes across the district lines.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, under policy 5.2, planning for educational improvement, the district should have submitted the district strategic plan to the Division of Elementary and Secondary Education by June 30th for review. Can we have a copy of that?
So I believe that Dr. Bennett, does this fall in your wheelhouse?
Absolutely. So that is the campus improvement plans and the district support plan that we've already written. We are developing a more comprehensive plan than the state asked for due to public concerns and us knowing that where we're at, we want to get better. And so we're doing above and beyond, but that plan's already been submitted and we can get it for you.
All right, thank you. Under policy 5.15 grading, what is standards-based grading in our elementary schools?
So I'm not the expert in that, but Dr. Bennett is here.
Talk a little bit more about standards-based grading. I could actually talk about it for a long time, but the long and short of it is traditional 100-point grading scales can be inaccurate measures because they have often included some behaviors and not all behaviors, and they've also done things like put kids in positions where, because of poor performance early on in the year, either because of an academic challenge they're facing, or maybe a social or behavioral challenge or something going on at home they're facing, they underperform and then they can't make up that lost ground. And so with standards-based grading, if you go in and you have, say, 4 points of reference, say intensive support, need a little bit of support on grade level or above, it gives you a more accurate read of where the student's at because it defines it based on the skill that they need. For example, if I was to say, we want all students to be able to ride a bike effectively, that's a 3. If a kid can ride a bike on a mountain bike course, that's a 4. If they're at a 2, maybe they understand braking, maybe they understand bars, they can incorporate those skills. If they're a 1, then we're teaching all those skills independently and we're moving towards integrating them. And so it's a more accurate way to explain where a student's at, and you can also replace a 2 with a 3 at the moment that student demonstrates mastery, and we're not punishing them for underperforming earlier on the semester.
All right.
But, Dr. Bennett, would you say proficiency scale versus a AB scale?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Yeah.
So the proficiency scales and the learning ladders that we use have that terminology, and so it just tells parents more about where a kid's at than, say, an 89. If we can go in and say, hey, we're at a 3 for this standard, and we're at a 2 for this standard, and here's what we're doing for the next 4 weeks to get them to the 3 or higher.
I'm glad you're here tonight.
All right, I'm gonna do 2 more. On the policy 5.22, is concurrent credit free for our students and their parents?
Yes, that is what Access has made it, yes. That's why in that policy it specifically states that our kiddos will not be charged for concurrent credit. Yes, sir.
And last, who is on the AI committee designed by the superintendent? That's on the policy 5.30, artificial intelligence.
So the AI committee was actually developed by our tech department. So our tech supervisor sits on it. Can you speak to anybody else who sits on it?
It's a committee of stakeholders around the district for TIA Alliance, or Innovation Alliance.
They can't hear you. So it's a committee of stakeholders, is what he said.
Yeah, it's our Technology Innovation Alliance. We have stakeholders from across the district, all different job types, nurses, front office staff, principals, teachers. They come together and we look at that.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Naylor, you had a question?
Yeah, I just have actually a statement. Since we're doing the student handbook on 4.25, that's student dress and grooming. I'm just making a statement because I've talked about this for a while and it seems to just spin up in the atmosphere. But if we're gonna pass this consent agenda with the student handbook, I'd like us to look at dress code, because I hear all the time from teachers about how we're not following the dress code. They're not going to turn it in because when they say something and turn it in, nothing is done about it. That it's turned in, we don't follow up, there's really no consequence to the dress code. And it's spelled out, not perfect in this 4.25, but it is looked at. I mean, as far as like pajamas to school, if there's no reason that we should be wearing pajamas to school, not unless it's pajama day. So this is about education. This is not, so I know it's going to make people uncomfortable to tell the parents that Johnny's got to go home because he's in pajama bottoms. But we're trying to educate kids here, and I just want to make the statement that we need to follow the dress code, period. I've talked about this for a few years. Again, it's gone nowhere, so I'm going to just bring it up that I'd like to follow the dress code if we're going to pass it. If not, let's pull it out of the student handbook. So that's my statement. Thank you.
I agree. And if there's one thing in the handbook that you don't follow, from my perspective, you invalidate the whole thing. If you don't have to follow this rule, then you don't have to follow this one either.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll just say note taken. I know Preston Eccles is out there. He's already doing a tremendous job. He'll be visiting with our reach his head around the corner saying, yes, sir. Yeah, he's doing a tremendous job already. He'll be visiting with our assistant principals. He has a committee that meets monthly. Discipline is a part of that charge, and we'll make sure that we discuss some of those items.
Oh, good. I got that on my list, too, for later on.
Okay, are we ready to, for a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I actually have a few questions on something else on the consent agenda, different category.
Okay.
I don't know if anybody else have, okay. The school bus lease, how many school buses do we need?
Hey, thank you, Ms. Shasta. You did a great job. Yeah, good job. Yeah. That's great. Dr. Petty, you did a great job, too. That was good. There's going to be 5 school buses in that lease to own. We've got some details on that if you'd like to go a little further into it, but there'll be 5.
All right. And then with the MOU with Arch Ford, I believe it's for ALE.
Yep.
And it says it's an addendum, so is that actually adding on to an existing contract?
Yes, sir. We made a decision to continue our services for our ALE program with the co-op. We went back and added a few seats per the request of a few of our principals that house ALE, so we're excited to be able to do that for them.
All right, so on the addition, it said 1.5 hub classrooms, 30 to 1 student to teacher ratio, then 15 to 1 per class. What does that mean?
Yeah, that's a student per teacher ratio, how many will be in the classroom.
Okay. And last question, do we have any certified educators that are in the ALE teaching our students?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So Archford does employ certified educators for the hub. We also have credit recovery programs to help make those students on-time graduates. If I can just say, I'm very excited about the potential to add those seats back because first and foremost, it's going to help kids that wouldn't be on-time graduates otherwise achieve that. It's also going to hurt us on state and national metrics if we don't. With 75 seats last year, 53 of them were seniors, which was about 7% of our graduating class, and so we want to keep those kids moving through the system that might not be able to otherwise. And the relationship with Archford, we always want to keep working it. We want to work with them to make sure we're delivering quality education to our students through them, just like we are here with our teachers. And so that's a partnership that we'll continue to monitor, evaluate, and offer feedback to make sure it's a quality experience.
All right, thank you. It's good to hear that they are certified. Thank you, Dr. Bennett.
Yes, sir.
Any more questions on the consent agenda? I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second. It's been moved and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Thank you. Now we will turn back to Mr. Black.
Hey, thank you, Ms. Franklin. Before I begin, I want to briefly say good evening to all of our guests today, and I want to take a moment to acknowledge a few people and say a few words. Let me begin by saying how proud I am of our team. From late-night phone calls and texts during family vacations to special call meetings and everything in between, you've answered the call, and you've answered it like professionals. I'm looking at you. You know who you are. I appreciate you. I sincerely thank you. I also want to thank the board for your communication, your leadership, and your trust during this time. I'm confident in this team's ability to come together, to stay focused, and to help unify our district as we move forward. I'd like to take a moment to thank Dr. Collins for his leadership and his service during his time here in Conway. And then I'd like to address the public. What I'd like to say to you is, if you're out there and you're considering Conway Public Schools, as an employee, as a parent, or as a student, I'm a proud father of 3 Conway Public School students. I'm a proud husband of a Conway school employee. And I know firsthand how special our district is. We have outstanding schools, and we have even better people. A lot of those people are in here tonight. You've heard from a lot of them being responsive today to a lot of the questions. Let me be very clear. Conway Public School District is a great school district because of the people who make it work every day. From the bus driver who starts their engine at 5:30 on a cold morning to ensure students get to school safely, to the cook who makes sure every child is fed, to our tech team, our safety team, and our maintenance teams who keep things running behind the scenes. Every one of them plays a role in making sure our schools are ready. And they do all this to support our most vital asset, our teachers. And our teachers, they give their time, their energy, and their hearts to prepare our students for the future. Those students will go on to be the next generation of teachers, politicians, business leaders, surgeons, quite possibly working on some of us. So we take it serious, and I know you do too. So I want to speak to our teachers, our staff, our students, and our parents and guardians out there. Our job is to support our educators so they can give our students the best possible opportunities. Do we have areas to improve? Yes, we do. Do we have areas that require focus and work? Absolutely. But the work is worth doing. Because of our students, they deserve our best. And I believe we have the team to get it done. I'm confident in our teachers, I'm confident in our leaders, and I'm optimistic that our board will continue to work together to set a clear, united vision for our school district. And finally, I'm proud of the rich history Conway has and will continue to have. And I'm proud to be a part of this team. So I want to say thank you. Thank you for being here. I know there's a lot of people that want to visit. And our team is mobilizing and trying. Just today, we got out and visited with several people who have some concerns. We'll continue to do that work. But no, first and foremost, our goal is to make sure the students, the staff and the teachers, and the parents and the families of this district know we see them, we hear them, and that's our focus. We'll be intentional with that group first and foremost. So thank you for that time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Black.
Now into some business. All right, back to school convocation. August 14th, 2025, that's right around the corner. We've got PD Palooza that starts tomorrow. I will let Dr. Bryce Bennett come up and talk about that for a second. But let me hit on convocation. We've moved our venue for our staff. I know some information came out earlier on in the year that we were going to have that over at the auditorium. We feel like it is fitting because of our special guest. I can't tell you who it's going to be. It's a surprise. But we have a surprise guest, and they will be coming to speak during convocation, and we'll have that back in our arena. So we want to have a good time. We want to have the band in there, and we want to kick it off right. I also want to take a minute to thank Miss Jerry and her crew. I'm not going to steal the thunder of Dr. Bennett, who's going to go over PD Palooza. Miss Jerry's on her 25th year anniversary, so we let her off the hook tonight so she could go have a good time, spend it with her husband. But I want Dr. Bennett, if you would, share a little bit about PD Palooza.
Absolutely. So these are going to be two of the best days we have all year long. I think everybody was very excited for them last year. We have 184 breakout sessions that teachers can elect to attend, and 111 total presenters, including presenters from our own faculties, from Arch Ford, and from our community vendors and partners. We also have 500 teachers that have signed up to attend as of yesterday. We have two dynamite keynote speakers coming. Dr. Todd Whitaker, who is an author of over 60 books, including What Great Teachers Do Differently, and Miss Willetta Johnson, who is the founder of the Autism Voyage, which is a comprehensive hub for students and families that are facing challenges to help navigate that process. So we're very excited. Big thanks to the C&I team in general. But like Mr. Black said, this isn't my thunder, this is Miss Jerry's thunder. She has taken this vision and made it a reality, and I think it's going to become a long-standing part of our tradition here in Conway. So we're very excited.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Bennett. Conway Employee Orientation. Dr. Lasker and her crew do a great job with that. All of our new employees will be coming in on July 23rd and 24th. We're excited about having them. And once again, we're glad you're joining the team. You're joining a great district. In the first day of school, it is here. So I look out at the crowd of our staff, and we're prepared. We'll be ready. We got roughly a month, so we got a little bit of time, but they're coming. And then that is All I have for my report. Ms. Franklin.
Thank, Caitlin, yes.
I'm sorry, Ms. Caitlin. Oh, we need to talk first day of school, didn't we? Thank you. I'm sorry about that. Ms. Riles.
Okay, so back to school. I wanted to point out that we have a back to school webpage. We developed this last year, pushed it out. Shout out to Tiffany Stroman for helping us get this on board. And so I just wanted to kind of showcase that really quickly. This link is live, back to school on our webpage. And so this is like a one-stop shop back to school. And we are continuing to update this as information comes in. You've got links to your school calendar, online meal application, transportation information, and then if you click these images, we've got our elementary school supplies list, and then we also have our middle school supplies list. Junior high and high school, those are special cases, and those will come on a first day basis with their teachers and stuff. So then also, more information's coming on kindergarten stuff. I've got an incoming kindergartner. So exciting times. She just cannot wait. And so, so more information to come about that. That kindergarten camp will be starting on the first day of school. And so we'll send that out to all of our registered kindergartners. And so also on this page is our CPSD bell-to-bell no sell. We have connected the policy here. That is a live link that you can click on. And then we have information for each of our schools. And so for our elementaries, this is an information accordion, so you can come down here. We've got links to our FAQ, fact sheets, and we've got links that you can click on for that, or use QR code if you want to share the images. We have information for our middle schools as well. And so all the information that you need on our bell-to-bell no sale is available. And then also for our junior high and high school. This information is going to be hitting our social, all of our outlets tomorrow. So look for it on our social media pages, through email, and so on, for that to share with our families. And then also looking for details about your student's school. Each school is listed here, and they have they're providing with open house information and school schedule pickup, just based on those schools and what they've got coming up for the first day of school. So one-stop shop. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Ms. Riles.
Thank you.
Board, I know you had a few questions about the cell phone state litigation that came out, so or legislation that came out. I wanted to make sure you had a chance to take a look at that, so you can let all those folks that have been asking you questions about it know where to find it.
Okay.
Is there any chance we'll ever do the pouch system for the entire school?
Yeah, we're evaluating the system. Last year was a good run, but we need a little bit more time. We need a little bit more input from some of our principals. So we're going to give it one more run at the middle schools. Dr. Ashley? Yeah.
Do we have any feedback yet on discipline and grades as far as cell phones impacting them in any way, or no cell phones? So Arkansas University was supposed to gather all that information. We don't have it yet.
As far as their grades being reflected because of any discipline
grades
situations?
And discipline. You know, that was pitched to us when we got the pouches. We guarantee this is going to take your discipline down.
Oh, your
and
data,
grades
your discipline
up.
data?
And,
Yeah.
and Arkansas University was supposed to gather all that data.
Okay, we'll take a look at that. We'll make a note of that, Dr. Bennett, and we'll see what we can find on that.
Be interesting to know.
Mm-hmm. That's all I have, Ms. Franklin.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're ready for the district financial report by Dr. Ashley.
All right. Miss Hargis had mentioned, sent me an email, and I appreciate that. And it's kind of like one of those things when you're a teenager, you stick in your hand in your pocket. I guess still as an adult, you find an extra $20 in there, and you feel like you've really
done something good. Well, that's kind of what happened here. We had some extra revenue that we did not show on the May report, and so when you look and it reflects from the ending balance in May to the beginning balance in June, there's an increase there. So it's one of those things that's a positive this time. We're so proud that it was a positive increase and not a negative increase. So that is reflected on that report.
Let me make clear that that didn't come from me. That was someone emailing me, asking me that question. I'm not that smart.
Okay. Well, regardless, you'd send it to me, and I appreciate that that comment there. So, Dr. Naylor, I know I always think about you when I'm looking at this, and because I know the question, you and Tripp are like always loaded. Y'all start asking finance this question like in February. How much money are we going to bring over to the building fund? How much money are we going to bring over to the building fund? So, don't know that yet because we have that thing called a period 13. Which for the board, just so you know, each month is, period 1 through 12. Well, from July 1 to into August, the end of August, is called period 13 because we still get bills and stuff that occurred in the prior year. So the state gives us what they call period 13, those 2 months, July and August, to rectify all those things. Many times our federal funds will not come in, they're delayed. So a lot of rectification takes place during those 2 months, and they call it period 13. So should give you a better answer then, but just ballpark and just spitball. I know you like that. If you look down and you look on operating, and that's all we're talking about is operating, and you look at your ending balance, I'm going to let you do a little educated math here. We always end our year at $6 million, begin our year at $6 million. So right now our operating ending of period 12, not period 13, period 12 is a little over $10 million. So some spitballing math, you're looking at maybe 4. Don't hold me to that because you never know what's going to happen in period 13, any bills that come in, anything that has to be rectified during period 13. So just cautionary, but very positive. If you look at that, Ms. Donna, if you'll go ahead and go over to June, the thing that I think is to me is exciting when you look at that is you look at prior year and you look at June of last year, we're at like 10.1 in our ending balance. This year we're at 10.4. We're ahead. You look at your building fund, you're at 9.5 ending balance last year. Right now we're at 10.9. Those are positive things. Anytime you have more money than you did the prior year, prior month, always a positive thing. So those are things that resonate. I know if you do notice, one thing that I wanted to point out that we talked about, and I think gave Mr. Black a little heartburn when he first saw it, on that second page there of June of 2024, it's like we're $1.4 million in the hole. And no, we're not. That is the prior year. But if you'll notice, federal funds are almost always going to trend negative, and that's because those are reimbursements. And so we will spend that money, and then once we submit all those things, the federal government, state government that's ran through the state government will then reimburse us for those funds. So they're always, and if you keep up with anything in the news, federal funds are on a hiatus in certain things. And so we're looking at that, examining those things, how that's going to impact us financially, if we're going to have to make shifts. So there's a lot of unknown that's taking place with federal funds that's beyond our control. So just be cognizant of that.
I'm glad you said that, Doc. To be fair, there are some situations with federal funds. That was why.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have control over those things. Those are things that we're granted those funds. They're appropriated to the state, and then the state services those funds to us. We spend funds out of there. We run a negative balance. We submit the proper paperwork. Then the state reimburses us those funds when they're spent in the appropriate fashion. So that's why you're always going to see that negative, just for you newer board members, just to get a good understanding of those things. And then you turn over to that third page there with revenue. Anytime your revenue is above 100% than what you projected, that's always a positive thing. I do want you to take note. If you look on salary and benefits, it's very large in that period, like 17 million. But you have to remember that in that month we have multiple payrolls that take place because we pay our teachers in June for July and for August. It takes place in that payroll. So that's always going to be a big bump in that amount. And then, again, total revenue, is above where we budgeted.
I was going to say, Dr. Ashley, I appreciate you. Just for the public, so we've got 10.9 million in the building fund, and then to let them know, because we talk about this all the time, but we always keep 6 million in the account.
Yes, sir. So it's not in the building fund, in the operating.
Right, in the operating
So in the
account, but we keep
the
6
board
million
has had a
ahead.
long-standing policy.
Yes.
Basically, you think about your own checking account. You always want to have some extra money in your checking account. You don't want to be in a spot where you could be in a position where you're going to bounce a check.
Right.
So you always want to have some extra in that checking account. Well, the board has decided that we want $6 million of extra funds in that operating just in case something happens.
That's great.
Well, if you kept up with things, something did happen July 1st at 2:30 in the morning, and I'll talk about that a little later. And so these are situations that merit what we're doing, and it justifies the cause and the reason we're doing some of the things we do when we save those things, because we'll talk about that in a minute. I think Mr. Black's got me on spot for that in a little bit, but that's what it is. And so you're going to take that, the building fund is there. Anything that when we get finalized in period 13, anything above $6 million, so if it's $6 million and $1, we'll move that $1 over to the building fund. If it's $4 million, we'll move that $4 million over to the building fund. So either way, we're going to move, and if you're in a district where you have declining balance, which we are not, that's where you really see that, is when you're not able to move those funds from the operating, when you've set it. When I was superintendent at several districts, we had a set number, and I always looked at it. If I couldn't move money over that, that's where I began to get really nervous and start examining, what's going on, why am I doing that? One time's not a panic. You start doing that multiple times, it begins to be a panic. We're not there. We've always been able to transfer funds over.
You did a great job, Andy. I really appreciate you walking the public through that. And so I just want to make one last clarifying point, because there's a lot of pieces to that. But essentially the way I think about it, and I've noticed this over the course of 11 years being here, the district has always stewarded the resources well, big picture, right? So when you take all of our revenue and all of your expenses, that is really kind of what Andy's alluding to, is potentially at $4 million in excess over revenue, which is a lot. It goes into our building fund, and rightfully so, because if anybody's looked at construction prices lately, they have went up dramatically. And so as we renovate and maintain, and as Andy is alluding, I imagine this repair is going to be pretty large.
Just to give you an example, when we renovated Carl Stewart, it cost us $6 million. We're in the process of renting Bob Court Way. It'll be a minimum of $10 million.
Yes.
So
that's about right. Yeah.
That right there, and we're doing almost trying to mirror what we did at Carl Stewart at Bob Court Way, and that's just the difference in the cost of labor and supplies.
Absolutely. So like I said, we're operating well. We're healthy, and I know there's some talk about overspending and different things, and that can sometimes cause people to think we might be in distress or anything like that. But we're not. We're not in distress. We're very healthy. We're moving forward. We're also getting a raise next year. The per student state allocation is going up. I think I like what you call spitball math. Yeah, I did some spitball math on that too, and that could equate to several $1 million. Our assessed value is going up. So while our revenue is going up, so are our expenditures. And so I know we've talked about millages and stuff like that, and I know the community has mixed feelings, but what I see is a district that's healthy, able to move forward and keep the status quo going. Where my concerns come in is, one, I mentioned this before, but getting our teachers paid to where they need, right? There was some inequity that happened, I think, with the LEARNS Act for your veteran teachers. And just for example, when we, if you look at our teacher, that salary schedule for the teachers, it's 70, well, actually, our whole staff is like 74%. It's a major part of the budget. So when you move that needle just 2-3%, you can talk about several $1 million. So while we're able to operate and status quo and make repairs here, getting our teachers where we need to be is going to be a challenge. The other thing I'll mention is major renovation projects. You know, junior high, once again, you know, I personally feel like we need to put some money over there. Part of that building is built in the 50s, I think, a third of it.
36.
Yeah, so we have 1,600 students there. Oh, I'm sorry, built in in 36. Wow, so that was
36 or 39.
yeah, long time ago. And obviously, we've done what we can to it. But you have a building that old, there's some major renovations that need to take place. And I can't, Bob Courtway, 10 million sounds a lot to you there. I can't imagine what it would be at the junior high. So these are just long-term, forward-thinking things if we want to keep our facilities in shape and be able to, you know, keep our staff where they need to be. Now, we'll be able to resource our teachers, though. That's the good news. I think with what we have, the margins that we have, we can do that.
Spoke of those with the increase in, it's the foundation funding.
Yep.
The per pupil foundation funding. The piece of that, so either your foundation funding is going up and your assessment is going up, and those are two key drivers. Student enrollment is the other, but you know, one of those usually your the foundation funding it helps cover your teacher steps.
Yeah.
So a lot of that money, well, even though it seems like we're getting that, is already obligated to teacher steps, teacher moving from a bachelor's to a master's degree, years experience. So some of that money is already, and you know, so it seems like, oh, we got all this extra. Well, a lot of that's already
obligated.
Yes, sir.
I got you. Yeah. So we're in good shape now. Just something to think about the future, but we still need to be as best stewards as possible. And so that's we're hypersensitive to that, and we're looking under the hood to save any possible money we can. But anyways, I just wanted to give my take on it. But great job, Andy. You did well.
I'd like to add, while I agree with just what you said perfectly, but also taking a look at our paras' pay, because they don't get paid. I think most of them have 2 jobs. If they don't have a husband or a second income in the house, most of them leave here and go to a second job.
Great point.
And try doing a classroom without the para. Think about that, and we do need find some money somewhere. But not only that, everybody talking about the cooks and I'm not trying to leave out anybody, but I know everybody can't get everything. You know, I realize that. But let's not forget those paras, and we need more of them in the classroom. And that's all I'm gonna say. And good job. I know y'all got plenty of money. Just come on.
I like to say that this morning I met with Mr. Black and his staff, and that was one of the subjects is the payroll pay and making sure that we try to work on that and get those raises up if we can. They're going to present something back to me within a few days on what that looks like. But I did address that with them this morning in a meeting.
Hey, President, when they get back to you, will that be disseminated to the board?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We can't meet. I can meet with them now. But yes, it will be.
Absolutely. I'll share it with you, Doc.
All right, I have two questions. For June report in 2025, teacher fund 1, period transfers in is populated, and then period expenditures are populated. Can you hear me? Okay. However, in June 30 of 2024, it's not in the same format. Period expenditures is blank, while periods transfer out is populated.
Where are you looking at?
I'm looking at, so the June statement, front page, Fund 1, teacher salary, the first line, period transfer out is not populated. However, in 2024 of June, it is populated and period expenditures is blank.
Yeah, I don't think that second page should have that on there, because if you look at the other one in May, I think that's an error. It shouldn't have been copied over on that line. It should not be there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I understand what you're saying, yeah.
You're saying it's an error?
Yes, I think it was just copied over to that next column. It shouldn't be on that column. 'Cause if you look at the other page, it's not there. If you look at the May one, it's not there either.
And last question is, for the June report of this year, I see that salaries and benefits went over budget, 103.11%. Can you explain what occurred there?
I will have to get back with you, I don't know,
Okay.
and I can. Yeah, on, 1.23%. Is that what you're speaking of? Or 1.3, yeah. Yeah, okay. Be happy to.
Will you be able to send that through an email?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I ask for a motion to approve the board financial report as presented.
Motion made.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Financial report approved. This time we'll go back to action item. Mr. Black and Mr. Lacy with the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, as Mr. Brad Lacy comes up from the chamber, I want to extend a thank you to the partnership that we're developing. Mr. Lacy has brought in the CDC as well as the chamber to help us with the steering committee. That work started slightly more than a month ago, Mr. Lacy, is that right? About a month?
I believe so.
Days are flying by right now for me. But I think it was about a month ago, and we're really excited for this partnership. And I wanted him to come in and share some of the information and also what the resolution is going to look like as we move forward. So thank you for being here, Mr. Lacy.
Sure. You know, we've often said, I mean, our job is to recruit people and to recruit businesses to this community. There is nothing more important than a nationally competitive public school system. And I want to make sure that you didn't hear me say an Arkansas competitive public school system. We are a nationally competitive community, and we deserve a nationally competitive school system where we are comparing ourselves to places that look like us across America, and we believe we have the ability to do that. This is a community that invests in itself, and I believe will invest in this district. But I also believe, as do our organizations, that we really need broad-based buy-in and broad-based support from our community. And, you know, for 2 different iterations, we've helped the city do a community-wide visioning process. And the reason I think that is so successful, and I see Alderwoman Whitmore over there, she's been through that a couple times. Isby, oh my gosh. Can we back the tape up and redo that?
Yeah. He was doing so good.
I was.
Yeah, you were
It's
doing
just stuck
good.
in my head, Sheila. I'm so sorry.
Doing good.
She's been through that process with us twice. And I think the beauty of it is, if you want to know what people think, you ask them, right? Ask them what they think, let them tell you, and then it's pretty easy to start coalescing around some agreed upon ideas. And so, you know, what we proposed was third party running this process for us. We think that's important because in order for people to be honest, they need to feel comfortable. In order to feel comfortable, it needs to be anonymous. So if we really want to know what the employees of this district think, they need to be confident that they can speak freely and anonymously and tell you what they think. And I think the same thing, you know, applies to the community at large. So we think it should be administered by the third party. I think it needs to be anonymous. We think it needs to be broad-based. And so what we proposed was a broad steering committee of 33 members. You all appoint 14, we appoint 14, and then there are 5 based off of positions. So that would be UCA, Hendricks, CBC, UACC Morrilton, and somebody from the city of Conway. And those 33 people, we believe, would be broad enough to sort of represent the diversity in the community. And that committee works on behalf of the community to come up with survey tools. And as we've dug into this, you know, we like to look at the Greenville School District in South Carolina. That's a powerhouse of a community, and they have good public schools. And many of them don't look dissimilar to us, and they perform really well. They truly believe in public input. You can see their survey tools out there. An interesting one that we just saw that they did was that they asked their community what characteristics were important in searching for a superintendent. Like, that was a single survey that went out citywide. And it was really interesting what came back, and what parents said was important was also what teachers said was important. And so I think that's a good path forward on anything. So what we're proposing to you is this committee structure, the 14-14 and the 5, and that we would hire a third party. And although we don't have formal approval from our boards, I think that we can assume they will pay for this. We would like to hire the Winthrop Rockefeller Institute to be that neutral third party and conduct this process and work with the steering committee. I should have a proposal from them in the next couple of days, and then if you approve this tonight, we can move forward. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Lacy. I'd like to say that we did have a meeting about a month ago, and all of these things were presented in the meeting, and we were all on board. We were all excited about this, the third party, the survey, and moving forward. And we appreciate the chamber and Mr. Lacy for working with us on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yep.
So at this point, I would ask for a motion to adopt a resolution for school board and chamber steering committee process and the structure.
I so move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. It's been approved. Thank you.
Thanks, Brad.
At this time, we will have information items. I think first on information item is Dr. Bryce Bennett.
Thank you, Mr. Black and board. Excited to be here tonight to present to everyone an update on our strategic reading plan development process and where we're at. Our district is poised to set a very ambitious goal that we want to pursue, and we want to pursue hard for the next 5 years. I'm going to take you through the details of that, and we will bring back the plan in its entirety whenever we get to August's meeting. I want to start by providing some context so you have an idea of where we currently sit. So this is our latest summative assessment data that illustrates where we're at in terms of reading achievement. You can see all the school districts in Arkansas color-coded here in blue. Conway is denoted in the gold. On the left-hand side, you can see school districts that are smaller. Once we get past about 5,000 in enrollment, we see the districts start to spread out a little bit. So these are the districts that we are competing with in terms of enrollment size. You can also see here a trend line that is an average of all the districts in the state. You can say with some reliability that districts below the trend line are performing worse than their peers and are expected to in terms of enrollment size. And if you're above, you're performing a little bit better. Here we've got another view where we've taken those enrollment equivalent school districts and highlighted them in pink. Our other school districts below 5,000 are highlighted in blue, and Conway has remained gold. And this chart illustrates our performance against the percentage of students that are experiencing economic disadvantage. You've got two trend lines here, one that indicates performance or expected performance for all school districts in the state, and then the pink line indicates performance according to our enrollment competitors. While this looks good, when you look at the number, 45% reading on grade level, we all know that that's unacceptable, and we know that's not where we want to be. So the district is ready tonight to announce a very ambitious goal that we hope everyone's going to be excited about. Conway Public Schools is aiming in the next 5 years to increase the percentage of students reading on grade level from 44% to 80% by 2030. This would mean a 7-point climb in increments for the next 4 years and an 8-point climb the last year. Just to give you some context of how ambitious a goal this is, I'd like to show you this chart again of where we currently stand and where we want to be. The next several slides are going to outline the process that is already underway for building this 5-year plan. It has 4 main principles. We're going to talk about the current district plan evaluation and framing. We'll talk about community engagement and stakeholder input, strategic reading plan development, and our actual implementation beginning in August. Beginning in June, the curriculum and instruction team underwent a process of evaluating our current campus improvement plans and our district support plan. We're also in the process of pulling together reading documents and resources that have been put out in the last half a decade to support our teachers and our staff, but we want to get them all in one place. And the purpose of this process is to provide a very, very solid frame so we can take pieces and evaluate them to see what's working that needs to be a longstanding part of our process, but we also want to be able to see what gaps exist that we're going to need to fill in order to move our students to the next level. So that process is going on. We're also getting ready to engage in some community events to try to solicit some feedback. We have 2 community forums that I'll talk about towards the end of the presentation that are going to be oriented around receiving some feedback from the community. We have a community survey that's going to go out mid-July and be posted through the first week of August, so that if anybody can attend those community forums, they have the opportunity to provide input asynchronously. We're also going to host a series of faculty panels to make sure that those in a position to serve and interact with our students on a daily basis are the ones that are at the table with us, helping to guide from their perspective, because it is the most valuable perspective. And we will bring everything from the community, from all these steps, and from the internal evaluation to the board for review, and we'll also, of course, give you all the opportunity to provide input and guidance once we've got a clearer picture of where we stand and what it's going to take to get us where we want to be. Phase 3 will be late July, early August. It's going to involve a 2-day workshop where we have our board approved, or at the approval of the board, a reading specialist leading this process with district leaders and teachers. This is going to be a 2-day process. We'll start out thinking divergently on day 1. We're going to take all the feedback that we've solicited from the community. We're going to see what the board's vision is, Mr. Black's vision, anybody in the community that has something to say about reading that can support us and help us get better. We'll take all that and we'll fit it into the frame, and then we're going to hone down across the course of the back half of day 1 and into day 2 to really, really illustrate across 5 years what activities are we engaging in, what's the timeline look like, what's the estimated cost, right? And so what funding sources exist and what funding sources are we going to have to secure, and then finally key performance indicators that we're going to be able to use to evaluate our progress towards success. The final phase of the plan is going to be implementation. We are aiming to have this plan done for the first day of school, and the plan from there will be for C&I, our curriculum instruction, and our principals to disseminate that information through leadership teams first at our campuses and then out to staff. The initial training push will just be the beginning. From there, we're going to make sure that there's a steady and consistent drip focusing on reading and returning to the plan in all ways throughout the course of the year. Another part of the plan that's listed here are going to be our accountability and support measures. Those are going to have to go hand in hand. There's a piece where we have to get in and make sure that everybody on the bus is taking care of business and filling their role, but we also want to make sure that they have what they need to be successful in that role and get in there and do this work together as a team. Before we turn away and close this portion of the night, I do want to talk about the community forums. We will have the dates posted on the website shortly. Monday, July 14th at 9 a.m. will be our first community forum. Thursday, July 24th will be our second at 6 p.m., both at the Conway High School Lecture Hall. We're going to aim to create an environment where our curriculum and instruction team can have a listening session with the community. Anybody that wants to come in and attend that is welcome, and we would encourage you to do so. We're going to orient that session around 3 questions. What do we believe are the most significant barriers preventing students from becoming strong readers? How can we make student reading progress more visible to everyone? And what would you improve or change to make reading outcomes stronger in Conway Public Schools? The idea of this community forum is going to be to have people come in and they may be able to say everything they want to tell us in an hour. We may also see some relationships evolve out of those community forums that can help carry us forward and allow us to draw on some expertise that exists out in our community. The last thing I want to show you is a countdown clock, and so we're going to find ways to get this out there and visible for everyone, but this countdown illustrates exactly how much time we have left to meet our goal of 80% proficiency by 2030. It should drive our sense of urgency and help push us towards a brighter future for Conway. This is a very ambitious goal. It's going to take a lot of hard work. There are going to be very difficult conversations. It's going to take the collaborative effort of everybody on staff, and it's going to take the full support of our community. I know the board believes in us in this endeavor. I know Mr. Black is there to support the work and believe, so we all believe, and so we're excited to get started. You have on the agenda for you tonight a reading specialist for approval, and I'm very excited to get in and start working with her because she is going to do an excellent job in helping to guide this work. We're also going to be able to hear from her in August when the plan is complete, and we're also going to be bringing back Sam Carter-Scott to talk a little bit about her vision for behavior support, and we'll have a math plan that's similar to this structure rolled out for you by Thanksgiving or Christmas break. And at this point, I'd be happy to take any questions.
I get a lot of emails and texts from teachers, past teachers, teachers now, and I've had several on the fact that we were non-compliant in our reading program, and I just want that clarified so that people will understand that that was not this district's fault.
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. So what we're referencing here is benchmark literacy. The state recently rescinded approval for benchmark literacy as a comprehensive Tier 1 HQIM program. When curriculum was adopted, the district elected to use benchmark literacy for comprehension because it is a quality program in many aspects there. We did have some people on staff that recognized pretty early on, hey, there's some pieces of benchmark's bottom half of the rope that are problematic. So within the phonics program, there is 3 cueing, there is visual cueing, and pieces that do conflict with right to read. And so conversations happened at that point between the district and the co-op. Several other school districts were in a similar situation. At that point in time, we adopted kind of a 2-program model where we used benchmark literacy for comprehension and 95% group for our phonics pieces and our word recognition pieces. So we are in a position, regardless of our implementation, of having to find a new Tier 1 instructional program for comprehension because the state's rescission applies to the entire program of benchmark literacy. And so we're already having conversations internally about what that's going to look like. We have a committee that has already received invites with teachers and interventionists and administrators in the district. They're coming in July 16th for an initial meeting. We may get it all figured out then. We may have to have more. But the goal is to come in on the 16th at 8 a.m. and discuss what we want to do moving forward. So the state's provided 2 options here. First, they've said if you're implementing something besides benchmark literacy for the bottom half of the rope that's HQIM compliant, you can continue to use benchmark literacy for comprehension if you want to. The situation we found ourselves in July is we need to evaluate if it's going to be better for our students in the long run to adopt a new curriculum for 25-26 for Tier 1 comprehension, get everybody trained and comfortable in it, and get it implemented, or if we're going to be better off taking our time and evaluating all the programs that exist across the fall, continuing with benchmark literacy for comprehension only, going through very purposefully and double-checking the comprehension pieces to make sure there's nothing in there that doesn't align with the Science of Reading or the Right to Read Act, and then rolling out the new Tier 1 curriculum in 26-27. That's a decision that's bigger than our team. That's a decision that's going to require voices, and that's why we want to get people to the table quick to talk through what that's going to look like. We want to make sure whichever route we go, that we can do it well and that we can make sure that teachers feel empowered to be successful.
One other thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to give you my opinion on the dyslexia and specialized instruction. I know that we've had that Sunday program, I think, from the first year I was on the board, and I've never heard great things about it. And I look at it, when you compare it to take flight, it's kind of like riding a bicycle to Little Rock or taking a Mercedes-Benz. The Sunday program has 1 day of training for teachers to know how to teach our students that are struggling in reading or are dyslexic. Take Flight is a 2-week intensive training with a 2-year internship. So that's kind of like Doc Naylor over there. I'm going to just pull a number. You went to medical school for 8 years to become a family practitioner, and I've got a heart surgeon over here that went 12 years. If you need heart surgery, are you going to him or are you going to this guy that has a lot more training? I am making a plug for getting our teachers involved in Take Flight, trained in Take Flight. I'm going to be a bulldog on this too. I'm going to fight for it, and I'm going to fight for the behavior part of this, because I think that our kids deserve the best, and I think their parents do too. And I think everybody on the board would agree with that.
Yes, ma'am, and I'd agree totally. And just to speak to both fronts, Sam Carter-Scott and Ms. Gordon and I have been having conversations about behavior and what we want to do, what kind of support structure needs to exist in order to get the teachers the support that they need with the kids that are facing those difficult challenges so that they can be successful. And Mr. Black, you know, he's been at the forefront of all this, and he wants to be able to move pretty quick and have something in front of you all for behavior within a month. And so that is the goal in August, to come back with a strong plan for reading and also an update on where we're at with behavior and what it's going to take to support those teachers. I will say this right quick about Take Flight. Our reading specialist recommendation is currently going through the training herself right now. I'm very interested to hear what she has to say about the training. We have 27 teachers in district that are completing the training right now as well. I think now is a great time, especially with everything going on with Tier 1, to really take a good hard look at our programs and decide what's going to be the most beneficial for us moving forward, without getting personal, without getting too attached, knowing that we've got to step back and objectively say, hey, this new thing, maybe it's the direction we want to go, or maybe this old thing is the direction we want to go. But what we can't do is we can't get hung up and attached to something just because it's been in place for a long time. And so I'm excited about that work. I am by no means an expert. I know a little bit about reading, but I'm not the end-all be-all. It's going to take lots of people looking at that. And so, like I said, we're going to take a good hard look at what we've got and how we're operating and decide what we want to take to scale and what the timeline's going to look like for that.
Well, I have all the confidence in the world in you.
Thank you.
Hey, Dr. Bennett, I just want to say excellent job on that strategic reading plan. I thought it was excellent. We've been wanting this for a while, just showing direction and showing, hey, we've got the clock, 2030, we've got a goal. That's what we wanted. That's because we've got to get going on this reading. We've all talked about it. The community's talked about it. We've talked about it. But this is a very important thing, and I thought you did an excellent job breaking that down and getting us on track. I appreciate you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate y'all.
Hey, Dr. Bennett, I want to say something before you move. Fantastic job. Appreciate you. Your responsiveness, your team's responsiveness, the way you got together in the room and started building this plan out. I know you'd been working on it for some time, but the way you brought clarity to it tonight for everybody in the room to understand where we're headed and how long it's going to take us to get there, spot on. I'm excited about the behavior plan that we'll be bringing forward in August. And then, as was stated, we're working on math as well. So the goal would be, Dr. Bennett, as you can tell, is a busy man, but hopefully by Thanksgiving we'll have that plan in front of you as well. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Dr.
Thank
Bennett.
you.
Thanks, Dr. Bennett.
Dr. Bennett, I think, Ms. Petty.
Is there, I only have one question, is there an immediate plan to minimize or prevent a high number of third graders from being retained due to them not reading on grade level?
There is. Well, so I'll tell you what we've got so far. I spoke about this a little while ago at another board meeting. I got to sit in on a third grade promotion panel so educators could come in and kind of give feedback on the documents the state was preparing for that. We have not received those documents yet. They are pushing out a toolkit to help districts plan and prepare. What I can tell you is there are some avenues that we can start thinking about early on in the school year that will help make us ready for that third grade promotion piece. So the goal would be to get this reading plan in place, get behavior in place, and then mid-fall, we are thinking about math, but we're also thinking about our third graders. There are, I believe, 6 good cause exemptions that a student could use to move on to 4th grade. Either way, whether they are promoted with good cause or they are retained in 3rd grade, there's a very significant parent-school partnership piece that is mandated by the law in the state. And so we're going to start putting together our process for navigating that. We've already met with administrators and told them, hey, the second you get your 425 data, you're going to know who's not reading on grade level. And so every administrator, and they're excited about it, every administrator is going to know which kids are reading below grade level, and they're going to have a plan before the first day of school for what that kid's calendar year looks like in terms of intervention and support. And so the goal is we either get them reading on grade level or we get them close enough that we can find a good cause exemption that they qualify for so that we can move them on. Or if retention is the right call, we navigate that with the parent. And those are all very, very difficult conversations. But yes, sir, it's on my mind, certainly.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Dr.
I appreciate y'all.
Yeah, thank you.
I just hope that the community is ready to get on board and help with this project and help our kids move forward in their education. I think it's very important that we all work on one team, and I'm excited that we're including the community in that part of the education. At this time, we have Dr. Lasker coming to speak to us about the organizational chart and the central office staffing.
Good evening, Board. Tonight, we are presenting both our current organizational structure and a proposed update chart that reflects temporary or interim leadership appointments, as well as a more streamlined design aligned with district priorities and responsibilities. The goal is to provide clarity around leadership roles, reporting lines, and departmental oversight. This will also help us assess how well our structure supports strategic priorities and efficient operations. Our structure is hierarchical, with the superintendent at the top reporting directly to the board. Beneath that, we have a deputy superintendent, assistant superintendents, each overseeing specific departments such as curriculum instruction, student services, human resources, finance, and operations. Our current district organizational structure includes 17 to 18 positions, including the superintendent and leaders over key areas. Over the past few months, we've been assessing how to maintain strong leadership while aligning with current enrollment trends, fiscal realities, and district goals. This proposed chart reflects the leadership structure under interim leadership. You will see that we have streamlined the cabinet team and leadership throughout the administrative team, eliminating 3 roles and possibly 4 with the board approval. This helps us stay lean while maintaining core functions. We will now have 14 positions, which include an open position for the Director of Finance. This chart was made with great care and respect, with the goal of minimizing impact to students and services. We believe that this interim period will give the district flexibility to adapt before making long-term structural commitments. We're sharing this tonight for transparency. We remain committed to supporting our schools and staff while managing public resources. So as you can see, the first chart, or the first org chart that you saw, was the original one. It looks different than it does on the website because we started this process months ago, but announced to the public. And so once we moved from Dr. Collum to our interim, then we went to our second chart, if you'll scroll up. In this chart, you'll see that the interim superintendent, who is Mr. Black, and the deputy is blank at the moment because it hasn't been board approved or hasn't been agreed upon. But you can also see that it looks a little different. It's a lot leaner than our past was. So if you can move over to our next chart, which you want me to do it? I want to click on this. This kind of gives you a picture because it places names in places. This is our past current year that we just came out of. This is all the positions that we have. These are the 18 positions I was talking about. Okay. Now, if you move down, this shows you that we're up to 14 because we have eliminated or absorbed the academic support, innovative projects, support services, our preschool learning lab position, possibly assistant superintendent position, and our elementary curriculum coordinator, who's not on the chart, but she is a central office employee who got hired as an assistant principal at one of our elementary schools. So we didn't know that this was going to happen. Of course, the assistant superintendent position would be absorbed if the board approves the election that will be before them tonight, and it will not be replaced at this time. So that was what we wanted to propose to you. That was what Mr. Black asked of us to look at and create. And like you said, we handled this over our holiday in 4 different states. We're all in 4 different states. But we got it done. Technology works.
So you're not going to replace the elementary curriculum coordinator?
At this time, we're not. But now, I do want to say, and part of my speech was that this is where we are today. We don't know. We need Dr. Bennett needs to get in there and see what he needs, and with the people that he has put in place. For instance, our Ms. New will be able to help with that. She's a strong elementary person. She's going to help in some things, and we're all pitching together. I will be taking on 2 roles, as our Dr. Ashley is taking on extra roles. Dr. Bennett has lost person. He's taking on extra roles. So we're all giving extra to make this happen.
Got some, Doc?
I have a quick question. With the general counsel, because that's such a consequential and special skill position.
Yes.
Why doesn't the general counsel report directly to the superintendent or interim superintendent?
That's a district choice.
Okay.
She and I deal so much together with personnel, policies, all those things. I used to play a lawyer in the daytime, and I wasn't very good. And so we needed someone that does that full time, that is able to handle that and knows those policies, as you can see, just like that. And we could be doing other things, and she is the expert in that area. So the superintendents in some districts have them, general counsel, but sometimes the superintendent's out doing all these other things, and that person needs someone there to answer the questions and to guide and lead. And because I've been doing this 38 years, and in 3 states, I've seen quite a bit in how general counsel kind of works. And so that was just a decision of the superintendent.
Hey, Dr. Lasker, I got a question. I keep getting a lot of questions from the public. The deputy superintendent, is that a role that's always been here, or was that new under Dr. Collum? Because that's the question I get, and I don't know the answer, but the public keeps asking me.
That's a good question. It is a role that was new with Dr. Collum. Dr. Bradshaw, he appointed that role when he came to Conway. But it's not a new position to a district our size. In fact, they have chief of staff along with deputy superintendents, because larger districts handle different things. We were very lean in Conway Public Schools, as everyone knows. It was 7 of us, and we took on all of these duties, and we were worked pretty good, but that's okay. We signed up for the job knowing what we were going to do. And Dr. Collum came in and decided that he needed someone, in case he could not perform his duties, that someone else would be able to step in at the moment's notice and continue to carry on the goals that were set before him, or go in a new direction. But family issues could come up, all kind of things can happen. And even though in our structure, you'll notice in the first chart that the assistant supes and deputy work side by side. I mean, it's not that one of us is over the other one or anything like that. It's just that someone needs to be appointed to make sure that if something happens in emergency cases, somebody will be able to step up immediately. So that's why that's there. It's not to, but Mr. Black wanted to say, looked at saving money in all these positions, and Dr. Collum was working on that, not in this deputy role, but he was already looking at how to save positions and money for the district.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I'll elaborate for a moment. You did a good job with the details. Getting straight to it, our goal, visiting with the team, Dr. Bennett, Dr. Lasker, and Dr. Ashley, I look at those folks specifically because we go in, and if you think about those 3 entities, and you think about a spreadsheet, and you think about all the roles and responsibilities that maybe this position has underneath them or works with them, you could be talking 2 to 3 different, activities that this person or this responsibility is covered with this role of assistant superintendent. And then you do that for the other 2 as well. Even though we are trying to make decisions and cutting back on staff at the central office level, it is going to be something that we've got to keep a keen eye on. We've got to make sure that we manage our effectiveness and efficiency, and if there's any concerns about one of those 2 taking a lapse, well, then we'll definitely come back in and visit with you about potential positions for the future. But get in the room. We felt like we can get this done, not only get it done well. So that's what we wanted to bring to you. We've heard a lot about the transparency of the org chart. Ms. Caitlin Riles is doing a good job of making this interactive. So when you go in, when we publish it for the public's consumption, you'll be able to go in. It's interactive, and you'll see the roles that people fulfill and the folks that work with them in their teams. So there you go. Some of it's already being done. If I'm waiting on her, I'm backing up. All right, and if you would, let's take a look, if you don't mind, Miss Donna, or is that, you're the maestro? Hey, go over, if you would, under Director of Support Services. And that should have those roles, or that's the, there you go. Okay. And so a one-stop shop, if you will, so you know where our employees, our leaders, our staff members can be found on the org chart. Thank you, Dr. Lasker. Any questions or any thoughts on that? Okay.
Okay, no more questions. You know, I'm usually up here talking about fun stuff. So I'm gonna go into HR update. I want to just give you a quick update about where we are with HR positions. And I know a lot of you are interested in this. Ms. Campbell, thank you. She helps me get all these numbers together now. You can look, this shows you where we've been all of these years. I normally just bring 3 years up here, but I wanted to make sure you could see how we're progressing along. So we're in much better shape than we have been. And for some reason, we didn't hire as many classified this year as in the past. They maintained and stayed in their jobs. And I hear what you're saying about a lot of the paras need to, but they were not in the big or any resignations or retirements. They stayed in those positions, even though they're not our highest paid employees. So that is a low number for us. It's almost like it was in 2021. So that was amazing. License, as you can see right now, we're in July, so we still have a few to hire. And if you look at our elections list, you can see that the list is still up there. But 114 is not bad. You know, to where we are, we don't expect, I think about 30, we're up to about 25 to 30 positions, and that's classified and licensed. So by the time we get ready for our new employee orientation, we should be in good shape.